Thank you so much for tuning into our very first episode of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where we discuss food, real estate, and all things Anderson.
On our first episode, we had some pretty cool guests, right? We had Mayor of Anderson, Terrence Roberts, City Manager David McEwen, as well as City of Anderson Economic Development Project Manager Mary Haley Thompson. Last but not least, we also had Chef Mel of Uncle Mel's Cooking Show. He threw down, y'all.
He threw down. He prepared his infamous shrimp and grits he started with the wedge salad with a homemade blue cheese.
Y'all, he got me to try blue cheese dressing. Now listen, I'm a ranch girl and he got me to try blue cheese, and I will admit his was good. I would eat his only.
And you can find these infamous shrimp and grits downtown Anderson at Earl Street Kitchen and Bar, or Winging It as well. So those are the places you can find it. But that particular night, or this particular night, it was shot in
the beautiful neighborhood of Mystic Vineyard. Now this neighborhood is off of East Greenville Street and Reed Street in the heart of Anderson, South Carolina. It's a very convenient location, and it has beautiful new construction homes starting in the 300s. Now, if you stay tuned, you're going to see a sneak peek of some homes in the neighborhood. The particular one we videoed, guess what, y'all? It's sold like everything else on the market, right? But this neighborhood does have plenty of lots available where you could build your dream home starting in the 300s.
Wow. And thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to do all those YouTube, Facebook things. Like and subscribe. And they can follow us where?
On Ghost Rock City, and that's going to be on Facebook.
Thank y'all so much. I guess to here, I wonder who we got at the door today. Hey, how y'all doing?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Welcome to the Dingles tonight.
Wow, thank you for having us.
We got Miss Mary Haley, Terrence, and Mr. David.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Let's come on in.
Right.
We're gonna make our way over here to the bar. We have Miss Quantella.
Hello.
Welcome.
How you doing?
This is Chef Mel.
Oh, wow.
What you got
This
going?
is
What
great.
we got going
We got
on?
tonight. We have some caprese sticks for y'all as an appetizer before we get everything got started. Y'all like to try some of
Nice.
those.
Great. I would love one.
And then we offer y'all a wedge salad tonight with some homemade blue cheese dressing, some applewood bacon, some fresh tomatoes. Then we have shrimp and grits as the main course.
Oh, that sounds
Awesome.
great.
Excited.
For that.
Y'all
All
enjoy
right,
those
y'all
right
can
there.
have a seat. I'm gonna mix up y'all with something. Well, welcome y'all. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Palmetto Moonshine. They're local. They're actually the first legal moonshine distillery in South Carolina. So I'm excited to have them and some of their products. They showed me a couple of things, but I love the mixology of bartending. So I'm gonna put my own little spin on things. So get your favorite beverage shaker out and fill her with ice. Palmetto Moonshine has a variety of delicious flavors, but today we're going to be using the bootlegger proof, which is 130 proof, y'all. White Lightning is only 105 proof, so use with caution. Today we're only going to use 1 part moonshine, and we're going to mix that with 2 parts of their all-natural margarita mix. Once you've mixed 2 equal parts of that margarita mix in, we're going to cap off our drink shaker and shake to distribute all that good moonshine equally, if you know what I mean. Next, get your favorite glass, fill it with ice, and now we're going to pour our beverage into our favorite glass, but we're going to leave a little room at the top because we're going to top that with some ginger ale and a few drops of aromatic bitters. Next, you're going to just stir that and serve it. And I hope you enjoy Shock City's version of the Moonshine Margarita. And we're going to go over and have a seat over there and start the conversation.
So what I'm going to do is obviously each one of you can answer the question. First question we have for you, Miss Mary Haley. How did you actually get started in your career?
So I'll try to keep this short, but I majored in biology at Presbyterian College. I was pre-med. I wanted to go to med school until an internship my senior year. I decided it wasn't for me, but I was infatuated with pharmaceutical sales and the reps that came in. But when I applied for positions when I graduated, everyone said, you need sales experience. Go sell something for a few years and come back. So I actually was so happy to be hired by Anderson County Economic Development and join their team as a way to sell Anderson to manufacturing companies or international manufacturing companies to locate here and really sell Anderson because it was obviously a product I believed in. But, getting started in economic development, I fell in love with it and have been here ever since. So not using my major at all or the immediate path, but I'm glad that I took that turn of events to be here today.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Same question. Politics.
Right.
I had been a small business owner, own and operate State Farm Agency, and being a small business owner, I had to do stuff like join the chamber. And I was on the chamber board. I chaired the chamber and chaired the YMCA when we were building the new Y. So I chaired a lot of things, and so one day a friend of mine said, "You need to run for the mayor of Anderson." I'm like, and I had, if tomorrow was the filing day, I'm sitting here going, I don't really know if I want to do this. I filed like at the 11th hour and just got into, and I'd been thinking about Anderson, and it wasn't broken. We were doing a lot of good things. I just thought maybe we needed a new vision, and I think that was a new vision for a new Anderson was our theme, and got in a 3-person race, ran against an incumbent that had done a good job, and got in the runoff and won in the runoff. And I said, I'm the mayor, so what's next?
Right.
Where's the manual and so forth. So, but 4 terms, 14 years later, I'm still doing it. So I love what I do. I love working with my team and the people. And like you said, we've got a lot of good things going on.
I appreciate it. Dave?
Same question. And I love working with the mayor, Mayor Haley. They just so inspirational every day, and just make it a lot of fun in my position as city manager. But I got into it. I went to Presbyterian College, and I was studying business administration and management. And during that time, I worked several jobs while I was in college. And I finally, I fell into 2 things that led me into public service. One was I was involved in helping build a new hotel in Clinton. And the city was working very closely with that development. It was a public-private partnership. Yes, okay. And so I said, I saw the city's involvement in that and thought that was really unique, and wow, that'd be something fun to do, and I just kind of wanted to do everything at that point. Didn't know exactly, couldn't pinpoint what it was, but then I got recruited to be a firefighter and to go into public safety. So I actually got a job with the City of Clinton Public Safety, and that really led me into a whole world of public service, community-based public service. And then once I got into the organization of the City of Clinton and going to school there, and I studied business management, I saw how everything came together. And I got to meet the city manager and the administration, the mayor, and how the process worked and how much of an impact you could have on the community. And so that led me I furthered my career in actually public safety and worked for the City of Greer. And while I was at City of Greer, I pursued a master's in public administration to become a city manager. And long story short, that led me into a internship position. Then that led me into an assistant position, and at another city. And I was able to become city manager there, and then had the opportunity to come to Anderson. So I just I really fell in love with public service.
Pretty awesome journey.
Yes, thank you.
Pretty awesome journey. Thank you.
Awesome. So there's so much talk about COVID-19, and I really don't even want to talk about it. However, we've heard all the negative things about how it impacted our community, but can you guys think of anything positive that it brought to our community?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
You know, one of the most amazing things I've seen, you know, and for a community, you see these things in disasters, and usually the short-term disasters. It's an ice storm, or you know, we have a high wind event, or something to that nature, and you see people adapt really well. And then here we are with a global pandemic that we never thought would realistically come and arrive in Anderson, and it did. And just saw everybody adapt very well. And it was amazing to see the business community be so innovative in what they were doing into adapting. And that to me, and then the community supporting the business community is one of the biggest things that just really, that shows the strength in the community that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to that, you know, it kind of put everyone, because it wasn't just some businesses or some organizations that were affected, it was everyone. So there was kind of a camaraderie around that. We're all in this together, let's work together to be innovative. But I'll also say too, we've never been this clean. Businesses have never been this clean.
Right.
What's going on in the kitchen and everything. And then with restaurants specifically, I love seeing more utilizing outdoor spaces. You see, you know, in downtowns, people dining and shopping on the street.
This time of year is nice.
Yeah, it is. So.
What do you say?
I agree with, you know, my colleagues, and you know, one of the things I think too was how everybody, especially healthcare folks, I mean, they had to step up, and they're working long hours in that part of our community. And we appreciate those people, EMS people, public safety. They had to go the extra yard to make sure that everyone was staying safe. But there have been a lot of other heroes throughout our community that we were just talking about, you know, teachers, parents who are having to teach their kids. And so there have been a lot of different heroes. Your typical heroes would be your public safety, your healthcare workers, but what I found amazing is that, you know, people are helping people and looking after elderly people, and I see people picking up newspapers in driveways and laying them on their neighbor's porch, and maybe elderly. And so I think probably like a lot of communities across the country, I like to think I was a little bit more special. But, you know, just the caring, the outpouring for people.
Awesome. So with that being said, knowing what you know now, and, you know, I jokingly tell my family friends, if we're just discussing it, if you had have told me this time last year that we would be sitting here dealing with what we're dealing with, I would have said, you're watching too much sci-fi, stop reading crazy books, you know, whatever. But knowing what we know now, is there anything you would have did differently, let's say December 31st, 2019, like going into 2020, and, you know, it was the year of vision and hope and change and this, that, and the other, and then all of these things happen. So knowing what you know now, if today was December 31st, 2019, what would you do differently?
Gosh.
I think as far as, you know, because our office in economic development for the city, we also do a lot of programming and events in Anderson that help, you know, bring large crowds to help support the community and everything. And I think that we were so dependent on that, on those large crowds, and that being the success measure of a great event, pulling so many people together. And I think once, you know, the virus hit, it was all of a sudden that's wiped out completely. And so I think, you know, for next year in December, you know, planning for that and bringing people together, but just having other success measures, other way that you can make an event successful in your community versus just simply large crowds. Large crowds, just in a different way.
Makes sense.
I would even, the whole aspect of, I guess, distance learning, or even we didn't know what Zoom was. And
Right.
now, I think everybody's somewhat zoomed out, but I think the Zoom part of it has been a little different, and it's been able to bring more people to the table in regards to getting people. Sometimes people have a hard time getting to a meeting, and from a aspect of getting away from job and driving and so forth. But I think. And I think we always have to, technology. We have to stay on top of technology, and don't say we're not going to do this piece of technology because it could affect our organization or community. So I guess lesson learned is that you got to have contingencies. You got to think outside the box about a lot of different things, and so I think it was somewhat of a wake up call on that in that regard.
Sure.
And I'll speak to the city's operations. We have around 600 employees, 16 different divisions, and we operate 24/7. It does not shut down. And, we have emergency plans for everything, and the pandemic was not one of them.
Wow.
It was not in any book. We have plans for, hurricanes, tropical storms, ice storms, earthquakes, you name it, business continuity, how we're going to continue provide service to the community during a critical time. The community's looking to us during any disaster, and again, usually those are short term in duration. So that's really always been the focus, and that's from all levels of government. But it's always your local government that's the first to respond, and it's the last to leave on any disaster. So. From a management standpoint, emergency management standpoint, it's been really nice to have planned for a pandemic and a continuation of that and the longevity that we see in this that was very unexpected, and so we had to adapt very quickly to that. But now what it's done is made our community and South Carolina very strong, and because that is now in the book, and and lessons are being learned. We're all learning on this together. It's the government didn't have the answers, and business and government came together to develop solutions for it.
Right. Well, it seems like congruently, we all seem to we'll be a little bit more aware. Definitely a little bit more aware. So, the question we had is where do we see Anderson 5 years from now? I know y'all get that a lot. 10 years from now, maybe. I don't know how far y'all go. I know you definitely get that question. And with that being said, I know like this year, a lot of small business been affected. Having to go out of business, having to stop business for funding. Where do y'all see? I mean, really, where do y'all see Anderson 5 years from now? Do y'all see it growing? What are y'all thoughts on that?
I think we'll continue to grow. I think the region's growing. You mentioned, we were talking earlier, I mean, we're halfway between Atlanta and Charlotte, but I think more importantly, we talk a lot about the mega region, and there are like 9 mega regions across the country, and we're like the 3rd fastest mega region, and that region goes from Birmingham to Raleigh. And so again, we're right in the middle of that region. So even I think of the hardships that have happened because of the virus, and we all sympathize with businesses and people who have gone out of business and struggling. But I still think that 5 years from now, when there is a vaccine and we have the virus under control, I think the region will keep growing. I do. Even now, we were talking today about the housing market. I mean, it seems like a house is on the market and it's off the market, and I think that might be to the fact that I met somebody that moved here from Illinois, and you can work anywhere in the world now.
Right.
Technology. And so I think a lot of people are leaving those congested areas
Mm-hmm.
and moving to places like Anderson. So, but I think the future's bright if we can ever get past the virus, and obviously one day we will. It's just might take longer than we thought.
Right.
And it has been so hard for small businesses, and it's it's kind of scary to think how that's going to affect the next year. But we did, downtown had 4 businesses open during the pandemic, and some businesses say they doubled their sales during the pandemic. So there was, it hit some of them really hard, but there's still, our small business network is so dedicated and innovative that I think that we're going to be okay. And then in the next 5 years we have a new master plan, Shock This Block, that is a 10-year roadmap for development and what downtown could look like. And we have a bike ped plan for the rec, a lot of plans that will kind of guide us along the way for the next 10 years. But there's also a recurring theme that is not a black and white answer, but people that visit Anderson and people that live here will say they just walk through downtown or they drive, down Greenville Street, and they say there's this feeling that they have that something big is about to happen. Like, this city is about to really take off. Like the feeling that people had before Greenville really, hit a lot of, high intense growth, or Nashville. We have people say it all the time that it's like the water that's right about to boil. Like
Right.
I have that feeling. I don't know what that is exactly. I just feel like we have a lot of really big things on the horizon that we don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what that is, but I think our future is really bright, and I think there's a lot of exciting things that are going to happen. So.
And I'll just echo on their thoughts, to the mayor's point, it is a very attractive region for economic growth. And then the quality of life here is excellent. It really, you have natural resources here, you have the lake, you have the community aspect that's not too big.
Right.
And we just have something very unique within the mega region that's attracting. But then from the standpoint of planning, it's something we dive into all the time, and I have to dive into with the numbers and lay it out to the city council of, okay, we're seeing this growth. We have to plan for it because there's a lot to that. There's water lines that have to be built, sewer lines that have to be built, capacity that has to be built out, transit has to increase, and those resources there, which is all good things, because there's an old saying that you're either growing or declining, and we're very fortunate to be a city that's growing, and so you have resources available to you to enhance quality of life. And it's really because businesses are coming here, and you're hearing the stories now of Arthrex was built recently, and somebody got a job there, and they're buying a house. Well, that increases the big housing demand. You're seeing that. So, but from my point of view, there's a lot of planning that goes into the infrastructure that's necessary to provide it, but we have it. So
speaking of resources, can you guys talk to us a little bit about, like, how do we find out as constituents of Anderson, as residents of Anderson, how do we figure out, like, what resources are available, or if there's funding available for whether it's a program for children, or if somebody wanted to become a business owner? Are there any resources or anything a person could look into?
Yeah, absolutely. Mayor Haley's probably the best one to answer this.
For things going on in the city, we have a downtown and City of Anderson Facebook, Instagram, website, and everything that we keep up to date with all of the events or programs that are going on. And then there's a lot of other great resources out there. Visit Anderson and the county that also pull that information. And your Facebook page is a great community platform for everything going on. And then as far as for entrepreneurs or business owners, we have a lot of great ways to get plugged in. We have free programming for entrepreneurs to network, start or grow their business. We have programming every week for that. And then we have a lot of information that somebody from our office can share, but it's also on our website of small business grants or loans, startup resources that really help small business owners every step of the way. So
Awesome.
Awesome. Now we I know those were the standard questions. So now we want to get a little more intimate, kind of. So one of the questions I think is kind of interesting. They actually asked. We got this question from the interview with Chadwick Boseman. He was on the Larry King. Is it Larry King?
Yeah, somebody.
Larry King. And this question was, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'll start. So it was not exactly a piece of advice, but my grandfather, Dr. Bales, raised 10 kids in Anderson. My mom was right in the middle, and she's always told me the story of when they were growing up, they would, on the day it was time to bring home report cards and get them signed, they would all run into the house like, Dad, sign my report card, look at my grades. And he would never open it up, and he said, I don't care what your grades are, what did you learn today? And so my mom and dad both did the same thing. They just said, we want you to learn, that's the whole purpose. And that concept really has stuck with me even through my career, that it's not about the grades or the accolades or the credit or the awards or whatever. It's really about what you learn and serving and being public servants. It's not about credit or winning anything. It's just about serving the people, and so that really stuck with me, and it definitely makes going to work a lot more rewarding, and it makes things very clear. So that was probably the best piece of advice.
Pretty awesome.
Probably staying with parents or grandparents. I can remember my mom telling me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, when I was 4 or 5, but she'd always kind of repeat something similar to this. We would sit outside and on the picnic table, and she said, "You hear that owl?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Try to be like that owl, because they say the wise old owl sat in the tree, and the more he saw, the less he said, and the less he said, the more he learned." And she said, "Try to be like that wise old bird." And I go, "Okay." But as you got older, and she would always, talk about, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth because he wanted twice as much listening to talk. So I guess the advice was, and I try to do this, I try to listen a lot more than I talk. And I think, and that's hard, to shut up and listen to somebody, but I actively try to listen to people.
That's awesome.
I would say with me, one of the things is surround yourself with great people, inspirational people, talented people, and that's personal in your personal relationships with people, but also professionally. I'm fortunate enough to going into public service is that you have to have a certain passion for public service to be in it and to serve the community and do what you do. And every job matters, and I'm just very lucky to be surrounded by what I was seeking out, because you learn so much from other people around you. So you're continually learning all the time. You never know everything, and so the being around very inspirational people has done a lot for me, and I learn something every day from someone.
Cool.
Awesome. So most of us haven't really been able to travel like we'd like to. Very disappointed. I was supposed to be going to Mexico back in March, and that was canceled. And then I was going to take my daughter to Paris for graduating kindergarten. That didn't get to happen. So, and she doesn't know, praise the Lord. Or else she'd be on me every day. But if you click your heels and you could be wherever, anywhere in the world right now, where would you be?
That's a great question. I immediately think of New York, which, amid today's crisis is a pretty, dangerous place, but because I'm a big theater person and Broadway, I love, whenever I travel to look and see if Broadway is on tour, so
Mm-hmm.
somewhere at a Broadway play. New York specifically, just because I love that whole scene.
New York.
Where would you go?
Yeah, for me, I have the opportunity to go look at other cities and see what they're doing. And I've really I had several trips scheduled to go look at other cities. And when I go, I'm looking at everything, details, little things, big things that they're doing. So things that I can bring back to our community that are good ideas, or things maybe that they didn't do well. And I had a trip scheduled to Austin, Texas. And I was really looking forward to that because they've done some great things and really put themselves above many other cities and some out-of-the-box concepts that they've done. So that's certainly a place that I would love to visit.
You a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, that would have
That'd been a plus, right?
That would have been a plus.
I like Austin. I've been to Austin, and so I think Austin has a nice little vibe to it. Probably, as my son is calling me, we've been talking about being able to go somewhere and play a nice golf course. I see the longest drive trophy right here, but if I had to click my heels, to be in San Francisco maybe and play Pebble Beach. That would be awesome if I could pull that off. And it costs a lot of money, but I'd love to do that.
Okay. Well, we thank you. We're gonna finalize it with our final question before we actually get to eat and get on out here. Very simple. You smile when you think about what? So I smile when I think about
Anderson Theater and Cats.
okay. Okay.
I smile here lately every time I go by our new downtown hotel and our parking garage. It just it gets bigger and bigger. And I thought it was going to be, and I think it will be something that we'll all be proud of.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you again for watching Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So that interview was pretty cool. I really enjoyed spending time with Mary Haley and Terrence and David. It was a nice time. And that last question we asked them, it got me to thinking. So Stormy, I smile when I think about what?
Such a funny question, but every time I pull up in the yard of my house, I think about coming in and I hear those little footsteps and my kids running up and saying, Daddy's home. So I can feel it time I pull in the driveway, and that puts a smile on my face.
Absolutely. I have to say the same thing. I only have one daughter, and she's my mini-me. She's a mini boss, and it makes me laugh to think about, some of the mannerisms she has. And, even just going through this pandemic, she's had a couple little meltdowns, as have I, because things are so different. But just seeing that little person develop and grow and come into her own, that's what makes me smile. So, pretty cool interview, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Now, let's get into this food, though.
All right, here comes Uncle Mel, a little bit of white pepper, I believe. He's mixing, he's adding, stirring, Caribbean seasoning, or Cajun seasoning, it looks like right there. Some thickener. I know the heavy cream gotta be coming. There it go. Man, this is gonna be some wonderful shrimp sauce. A dab of salt that may have been. We don't know all the secrets, but what we do know are those some big jumbo shrimp right there. Goodness gracious. I can imagine those on a nice plate of shrimp and grits. Y'all follow Uncle Mel on Uncle Mel's Cooking Show, Facebook, Instagram as well. But tonight, he's going to be plating us with the beautiful 3-cheese creamy grits topped with jumbo marinated shrimp, his special shrimp sauce. Man, this is going to be to die for. I know the guests are very excited about this here.
Ooh-wee, man, those shrimp and grits, they are amazing. And again, if you're ever in Anderson, South Carolina, please go to Earl Street Kitchen and Bar or Winging It to try those amazing shrimp and grits. Now, without further ado, as promised, take a look at the beautiful home in Mystic Vineyard. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to our very first episode of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Right now, we want to give a major shout out to our sponsors, Palmetto Moonshine of downtown Anderson. When I made that call, they answered the phone and they said, pull up and bring an empty trunk because we're going to load you up. So thank you so much for sharing your lovely libations. And Jamie, thank you so much for your hospitality when we came downtown, showing us a little mixology, giving us some ideas. So major shout out to Palmetto Moonshine. And we've got, of course, the owners are Brian and Trey Boggs. Thank y'all so much.
Major. We also want to thank Bill Nickus and his crew at Sullivan's Metropolitan Grill, downtown Anderson. Known for their catering, but we were honored to be blessed with desserts for the entirety of our episode. So big thanks to you guys at, again, Sullivan's Metropolitan Grill, downtown Anderson.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, yes, catering is awesome. The desserts are awesome. I know this sounds weird, but if you go and visit Sullivan's, please try the duck fries. I know it sounds weird, but you'll thank me later.
Absolutely. Hey, and if you're watching, we may need your help. Maybe you're a business owner. Maybe you're part of the community, and we need more stories. So if you would, we have GoShockCity@gmail.com is our email to send us any stories that you may have for the community, or if you're a business owner, you want to help, you want to sponsor, you want us to interview you. We're looking for stories because remember, we're all about food, real estate, and all things Anderson.
I wonder, is there a story that I can tell so I can get Chef Mel to my house to cook? Because I'd love that.
Absolutely. And we need to do all those social things. Subscribe, share, like, all those good things. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Follow us at Go Shock City on Facebook.
Look at me, Mommy, look.